Hey guys, it's Ashley with 3R Sales and Service. Today we're taking a look at a 16-foot box truck. This is a Chevy 4500 series. We have two 10-gallon per minute cold water pressure washers. We have our gas engine soft wash system, and we have a Tucker window cleaning system installed in here too. So we'll go ahead and start up front here. We'll start with the hose reels and then kind of work our way into the rest of the truck. So we have our stack of 4 hose reels. These are the Titan aluminum reels. The top 3 have stainless steel manifolds, and the bottom one is our garden hose inlet reel. So we use the 1-inch high flow manifold, and that just helps fill that 525-gallon tank so much faster when you don't have any of that restriction going into your system. They're all 12-volt electric rewind, which means when you press this button, it's going to reel your hoses in automatically. We have the premium hose guides on each one. That just really helps us pull, especially if you're pulling from like a 90-degree angle, so that it doesn't rub on the discs of the reel. It just kind of rolls smoothly off those guides. So at the bottom we have 200 feet of 3/4-inch garden hose, and then we have 200 feet of 1/2-inch pressure washer hose for each one of our pressure washers, and then we have 300 feet of the 1/2-inch soft wash hose for the gas engine soft wash system. You'll see here on the pressure washer reels that we've got our high pressure ball valve so that we can switch between the wand accessories or the surface cleaner. And then we have our nozzles right here as well, so they're very easy to get to. And those are standard high pressure nozzles that come with it. Underneath, it's difficult to see from this angle here, but we have our soap injectors and everything kind of underneath the swivels or behind the reels. We have a Flow Pro installed on one of them as well. Over on this side, we've got our 2 10-gallon per minute cold pressure washers. They have Honda GX 800 engines, which means they're fuel injected engines. We have our belt-driven TSF series 10-gallon per minute pumps. On the pump head here, we have our bleeder valve, which just allows us to bleed all of the air out of the line between the water tank and the pressure washer itself, making it prime the pump and a much easier startup and less likely to damage the seals. And we have our bypass lines going back to the tank, so you can recirculate the water from your tank to your pressure washer pump without it overheating anything, keeping it nice and cool when you're in bypass mode. I'll climb up in here and kind of go over the rest of the system. Okay, so now that we're inside the vehicle, we'll take a better look at the opposite side of the pressure washers. So you can see the other side of the engine here. You can see the oil drain hose. We have the exhaust down through the floor of the truck, and then we've got everything, wrapped, metal protected, spaced far enough from the walls so that it's not going to create any heat issues, but you're also not blowing exhaust into your system where any of the other engines that are running at the same time can pull in that exhaust air and then cause issues with any of your other engines. So we want to make sure we have all of the hot air and all of the exhaust going right through the floor and out of the box truck itself. Each pressure washer is connected to a battery, so we have 2 larger batteries here because we've got so many accessories in this system. We've got lots of remotes and additional items that pull off of those battery sources, such as the reels. We want to make sure we have a big enough battery to hold power for those other accessories. So pressure washer number 2 is set up the same way as pressure washer number 1. The only other thing I didn't really mention was that we elevate our washers here, you can see, and allows us to run hoses underneath of them. It's easier for maintenance. So just something that we do to try and keep these aisleways nice and clean. You can see how much extra space is in here for moving the surface cleaner around or having additional materials. The floor is covered with our protective flooring, and then we trim all the way around it, caulk and seal everything so that it's nice and secure, but will also protect the floor as much as possible for the longest period of time. Moving around back, we have our 525-gallon water tank, and below you can see the 30-inch surface cleaner that'll work with the 10-gallon systems. On the tank, you'll see a couple hoses on the right side. Those are our bypass hoses for the pressure washer. On the left side, we have a filter that comes off of the inlet hose. It actually filters the water before it goes into your tank, so you don't get a lot of debris in the water tank. Underneath that filter, we have a float valve that shuts off your water supply whenever your tank is full and then continues to fill whenever your pressure washer or any of your other items are running and pulling water from it. So keeps your buffer tank full through the whole time. You can run multiple pieces of equipment at the same time. Your pressure washers, your soft wash, your window cleaning system, they're all run off of separate systems so that you can run all of them simultaneously if you had a big enough water source for it. Moving over, we have our Tucker wall mount system. This is your RODI system that completely filters the water and comes out as purified for window cleaning and makes it a very easy way to clean your system. It comes with a hose reel and a 150-foot hose on that reel. And then we have our extended poles to go along with it. I believe it comes with a 50-foot pole is what the system's with. Now we're over to our soft wash system. We have our 55-gallon bleach tank, 7-gallon surfactant tank, and then that is connected here on the P40 soft wash pump, which is gear driven off of the Honda GX 160 engine. It is electric start, and we do have a remote start on that. So that allows you to turn on and off the engine from a distance. So if you're up on a roof and you want to go ahead and kill the engine right away, you just press that button, turns it off, and vice versa. If you're up there and you're all set up, you can go ahead and turn the button on to go ahead and start your engine and get started. Above it, we have our metering system and we have our remote rinse. So this remote system switches you from pulling your chemical mix over to only pulling water through it so that you can rinse everything out, or you can just apply water. The metering system allows you to meter your water, your surfactant, and your bleach. And essentially, your rinse system is turning off your surfactant and switching your bleach over to a water drop. So that gives you the capability to rinse everything with full flow. You're not restricting the flow whenever you go through and do that. Down below, whenever you're running your engine, we actually have a little access door here, again, to make sure all that exhaust goes out through the door and you're not pulling any additional exhaust in through your truck. The battery next to it is the battery for, my goodness, there's a lot of noise going on outside. So the battery next to us is the battery for the soft wash system. For the electric start, also powers the remote on off for it, and also powers the remote for the rinse. So we try to connect each battery to every accessory that it is powering, so that when you're running that engine, it's powering that battery, and then you have power to all of your other accessories. A 22-gallon fuel tank supplies both 10-gallon per minute pressure washers. It has a fuel gauge on it so that you can easily see how much fuel you have in that tank, and that will definitely hold up for both pressure washers throughout the whole day. Or, I mean, if you're doing part-time work on those, then you might be able to go a few days between fills. On the back of the hose reels, we've got kind of a lot going on here. So I'm going to switch sides so that Abby can see better. So to start with what is on the wall, this is our Flow Pro soap injection remote bypass. So when you hit the button, you will switch this ball valve, this electronic ball valve here, and it will either divert water to your chemical injector, or it will allow water to go right past it. So whenever you're spraying soap, you want to turn on the remote so you can apply your soap, and then as soon as you turn it off, that water goes through here and you're getting full flow. The chemical injectors tend to restrict the water flow a little bit, so when you're surface cleaning, you'll notice a pretty big difference between going through the injector versus bypassing it. So this remote just keeps you from having to walk back and forth to do that. Over here, I'll move these hoses out of the way. These are our downstream manifolds. So for pressure washer number 1, you can select which soap you want to pull through your soap injector on pressure washer number 1. Pressure washer number 1 is hooked up to the Flow Pro remote. So this is the only one that has a remote system to it. We call this our primary washer. So you can blend your bleach, your surfactant together if you want. You can use it as a blending system, or you can simply just open up one and only use one. The dipstick here allows you to use one of these dipstick assemblies. They have 2, one for each manifold, so that you can drop it down into whatever bucket of soap you want to use. If you have a specialty degreaser or a one-time detergent that you want to use, you can drop that right down in there, open up your dip tube line, it'll draw right from there. The nice thing is we extend these to be long enough so that we can take this hose and drop it down into our water tank if you want to rinse out your system real quick and get anything out of the lines that you don't want to blend together. For example, if you're running bleach through it and then all of a sudden you want to run an acid or some other detergent through there that you don't want to mix or touch each other, then you can go ahead and drop it in your water tank, rinse everything out, and you're all good to go. Pressure washer number 2, it does the exact same thing. It's hooked up to all the same tanks, except this goes directly to your soap injector. It doesn't have a remote bypass system connected to it. And then we just have this hook here. Just try and keep everything off the floor, nice and tidy, have a spot for everything so that you don't end up with a bunch of accessories or hoses laying on the floor and causing a trip hazard. From the other side, you can also see we did paint the interior of this. This just comes as a typical, wood paneled box truck. So we painted the interior, we put the flooring down. It brightens it up a lot, but it creates a moisture barrier to the wood as well. And we use a glossy paint, so it's nice and easy to wipe down. The customer is coming to pick this up tomorrow. We do a full training session with them too, so we'll go through and give them a complete rundown on how this whole system works, so that they're super comfortable with it before they go. This is technically their second system that they're getting from us. The first one, you may have seen the video before, had a hot water pressure washer in place. So we kept all of the plumbing the same to keep the training completely the same, except we have 2 cold water pressure washers versus 1 hot and 1 cold. So if you have any particular questions on this package, we'll have all the information on our website. You can also give us a call and discuss anything else. Thanks.